Hello everybody, Joe Fry here. I fish a lot, and one side effect I've seen with this pandemic that's going on right now, and so many things being closed, is that I've seen a lot of families out there with their kids fishing, which is a great thing. And right now is the perfect time of year to get out there and be doing that. But I've noticed a lot of those people are either new to fishing or inexperienced, and so today I'm going to give you 3 presentations that'll help you catch more fish right now. Here we are, it's late March, early April, and fish are really starting to get active right now as they're heading out of winter and the things are starting to warm up. So for the next 2 months, this is really a prime time to be out there fishing. So the 3 basic presentations that we're going to focus on today involve lures. If you fish much, you've probably seen these, particularly if you're a trout person. The inline spinner, the spoon, or in this case, the Castmaster brand spoon, and then the jerkbait, or some people call these a minnow bait, but we call it a jerkbait because that's what the presentation of it involves. These 3 presentations, A, they catch a lot of fish, B, virtually anyone can do it regardless of your experience level, and C, they're economical as all of these. You can buy any of these lures for just a few dollars. And so, I don't think there's any magic lures out there, though the lure manufacturers don't want you to know that. But it's really about the presentation, how we present it to the fish. So that's what we're going to show you today. The first one is just the old inline spinner. This is the easiest to use, and so if you have somebody who has never fished before, you might want to start them out with this. These catch fish, they're really easy to cast, and you're working pretty high in the water column, so unless somebody casts it into a tree or whatever, you're probably not going to lose a whole lot of these. Common brand names are like Panther Martin, Blue Fox Vibrax. That's what this is. This would be my favorite. Rooster Tail. Those are all common brand names for inline spinners. And I do like Chrome for sunny days and clear water, which we have a lot of that here in the mountains of Colorado. Now, trout, they do see oranges and pinks better, so if you start getting muddier water, like when our rivers start blowing out, then maybe a little, getting one with pink or orange would be good. As for the presentation, so there's 2 things I want to mention. Well, probably 3. First of all, in buying these, I prefer the bigger ones over the smaller ones. You can get them in like 32nd ounce, 16ths. I catch more fish on the bigger ones, and then they're just a lot easier to cast if there's more weight to them. Now, another thing you'll need with these, and also the next lure I'm showing, make sure you are getting some swivels. And the ball bearing swivels, you'll see barrel swivels. I prefer ball bearing swivels. They're a little more expensive, but especially for these are line twisting dudes, because it goes through, not only does the spinner spin, the lure spins. And so if you don't have a bearing swivel on that in the front, I can't get my fingers to work. So you just tie that to your line, then snap that on your lure. Then these things do twist your line terribly, and after 10 casts, you're going to throw out and have a big bird nest on your hand. So invest in some swivels. Last thing is, and this is true with virtually any lure, so nothing in nature just moves in a straight line. Fish are often triggered by what we call reaction bites, meaning they're just reacting to something that is, sometimes dropping or jerking side to side, moving erratically. And so just remembering that right there will get you a ton more bites. So with the inline spinner, I'm going to simply just vary the speed of my retrieve. So I might reel it faster for several reel cranks. Then I'm going to slow it down. I'm not going to stop it necessarily, but I'll slow it down. Then speed it up again for a few cranks. Maybe move the rod tip from side to side just for a little directional change. I'm not changing things drastically with this like I will on the spoon, but just that change in speed or cadence will get you more bites. So there's a little bit on the inline spinner. Next, and if I was fishing a lake or a pond right now for trout, this is what I'd throw. So this is just commonly called a spoon. or in this case, the brand name is Castmaster, which really, for trout, I don't know what it is, but they do seem to like the Castmaster. That's spelled with K, not a C. And once again, I love chrome on this. And you'll see a lot of them that are like chrome on one side and are painted on the other. Whatever. I for sure, I'm almost always throwing chrome, at least on the one side. And I think I just prefer chrome all the way around. I don't know that I'd pay extra for this, but whatever. Everybody has their preferences. This thing is great from the bank because you can cast it a long ways, and I almost always throw a 1/4 or a 3/8 ounce, just like with the inline spinner. The smaller ones, I don't think that helps, and then they're not as easy to cast, and so that's a little bit on the spoon. So now here's the trick with this one though. Fish will almost always hit this on the drop. And what I mean by that, so you'll cast it out. Wing! Now, as you reel it in, it just kind of wobbles back and forth. Now, what I do, I will reel it about 7 or 8 reel cranks to get it going. Then I'm just going to let it drop. And so it's going to flutter. And I'm not dropping the rod. I just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then I just stop. And that will flutter down like this. And then I just give it a 2 or 3 count. So 1, 2, 3. And then I'll start reeling again. And we'll show you some footage on that in just a minute. 90% of the time, they hit it on the drop. And this will, just by doing that, that will increase the number of hits you get by a ton instead of just casting and retrieving. All right, so here's a little footage on using the Castmaster spoon. So, using this spoon, they tend to hit it on the drop. So I'm just going to reel it straight, 7 or 8 turns, and just kill it. 1, 2, 3, and start reeling it. 1, 2, and oop, missed it. Kill it, and there he is. Hit it right on the drop. Hit it on the drop again. Man, there he is. Notice it hit right as soon as that lure stopped. One thing you might have noticed through watching that little clip is trout miss a ton. All right, you'll get a lot of hits and they just miss it. So you just keep going and doing what you were doing. So if I let it drop and I get a hit, oops, I missed it. All right, I'm going to reel 4 or 5 cranks, let it flutter down. And we caught probably about 100 fish on the day we were filming that, and all day long, just about any cast where I got a hit, if it missed, I'd end up catching that fish because they just keep coming back for it. And so let me show you one more little clip here from that day, and it'll finish with hooking into a pretty nice one. 1, 2, 3. There he was. There he is. Come here, feisty dude. A little bitty fella. So here's what we're throwing, just the Castmaster. Clear water and sunny skies, I like chrome. And 90% of the hits we get are on right there when it drops and stops, when you kill it and let it flutter down. See if I can catch one more here for you. There he is. Acts like better fish. gonna go closer to my net. This is a good one. Yeah, you could really hear him smoking the drag on that reel. And so I wish I could have filmed the whole thing, but my net was up the bank about 40 yards, so I had to walk up that way to land him. So here's once we landed the fish. There he is. That's a good trout there. See how big he is in comparison to the net. So, yay. That was a 21-inch rainbow, so when you're catching rainbows that are getting towards 2 feet long, that's a lot of fun. That's a little bit on the spoon. And once again, if I was taking someone out to a lake or a pond that I knew had trout in it, I would probably start with that. And I do know Lake Estes is fishing really well right now, and it was just stocked about a week ago. But this would be a great one to use up on Lake Estes, particularly like I'd start on the north side. So, finally, we have my favorite trout lure, and really probably my favorite any fish lure. And this is we call it a jerkbait. You know, and you see these all the time, you know, Rapala and husky jerks. This is a Penn's minnow. You know, so it's just a minnow-looking bait. And if I'm fishing the river, I'm throwing this 90% of the time year-round. And especially in a river that has brown trout in it, they love these things. People often think of trout and they think of flies and insects. Well, when you look at a trout, you notice they have teeth. Things that eat only insects don't need teeth. So the number one thing trout feed on is little fish. Big fish eat little fish. That's just how it works. And this is a great multi-species bait because really almost every fish out there, at least any fish big enough to catch, eats little fish. So you could use this anywhere you fish for an abundance of species. Now, here's the presentation trick for this. It's called a jerkbait for a reason. This isn't a reel bait, or it isn't a pull bait. It's a jerkbait. A lot of people just throw these baits out and then reel them in. And once again, that's not how things move in nature. If you ever watch minnows move, they don't move just in a straight line. They dart like ching, 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 ching. And so that's how you need to present the lure. And here we'll show you a little bit on the jerkbait. All right, so let's show you what the jerkbait retrieve looks like. And you'll notice bright sunny day, once again, trout, sunny days, clear water, chrome. So I'm throwing nothing but chrome on days like this. So I cast it out, and then I'm going to reel just a few cranks to get that bait down to a running depth, and then it's just twitch, twitch, twitch. Notice I'm twitching with the rod, and I'm not pulling, I'm just giving a little twitch or quick jerk. As soon as I feel pressure, then I'm throwing the rod back at it. That's what'll make that bait go then pause, pause, and that's what it looks like in the water. And this is a great bait for any type of fish. You know, bass, walleye, love them. You even catch crappie on them sometimes, though that wouldn't be my first choice. But trout love them in the river. This is what I'm throwing all day long, all year long. And some people that have caught a lot more trout than me will say, don't pause it, just keep jerking it. So jerk, 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 jerk. And I can't hardly do it because I'm so used to pausing it. But I know for some people, they'll say trout, just because they miss so much, don't pause it. But I just catch too many on the pause to let myself do that. So that real quick is the jerkbait. Number one lure for just all species of fish all year long. This, if I'm throwing one bait, it's probably going to be this. And once again, especially in the rivers. And that just looks like a darting minnow coming in, because that's how minnows, if you watch them, that's what they look like. There you go. 3 simple presentations that catch a lot of fish and might help you catch a few more. So get out there and try it. If you ever have any questions, you can find us on EstesParkSteam.com, and our email contact is there. We'd love to hear from you if any of these techniques have helped you catch some fish. So get out there with your kids, go have some fun, and maybe we'll see you out there.